And then I was pulled from the coma, and I had severely broke my hip. My hip and the X-rays just looked like sand.
Did you at some point start showing your work and doing art shows?
Yeah, my first show, I'd already kind of left the industry. 2016 was like my last year of working in restaurants. And that came from like an incident that I had in 2016, which put me out of working indefinitely doing anything. Where, I was hospitalized for like 1 year.
What happened, if you don't mind talking about it?
I had a fall um, from like a 4-story balcony, yeah, to the ground, the concrete, yeah, in Brooklyn. Um, and I was having a party, and it was just just crazy time, people just having a good time, and then one thing led to another, and then it was an emergency. So yeah, when I fell, I was in shock, and then I woke up months later. So it was a very intense situation.
Did you have to? What was the recovery like for that?
I was put in a medically induced coma when I entered the hospital, and I was in that medically induced coma for 2 months, and then I was pulled from the coma, and I had severely broke my hip. My hip and the X-rays just looked like sand. It's just many fragments and a million pieces, literally. Broke my pelvis. My elbow is also broken, and I had a lot of head trauma from this also. I severed my main nervous system in my back, so my whole leg is like numb forever. Um, so now I have a ton of hardware here, to where I can never like straighten my arm. That's like the much as I can do. This has always bent like this. There's just so much hardware here because I landed on the left side, so every bone and like I broke every rib, punctured both of my lungs. I had extreme internal bleeding. So when I went in, they thought I was like 300 pounds, but as you can see, I'm like 180. But it was just because I was so swollen from all the internal bleeding. So yeah, and then once I got out of the coma from that, I just laid in the hospital for an additional 7 months, and I never the whole time. I never took my head off the pillow. I just laid. No bathroom, no getting on your feet, no going outside, no getting up walking at all. So I laid for 7 months, pretty much. Technically 12 months, if you count the 2 months I was laying there in the coma. So it's pretty kind of bizarre. Yeah.
I mean, I guess at that point, all you have time to do is think.
Yeah, exactly.
Were you like, were you thinking about going back to the restaurant, or were you?
No, I kind of knew my time was done with that at that time. It wasn't anything against cooking or culinary like endeavors, because I loved it. It was just more of the stress, and just kind of like the industry was like it was a little negative for me at the time. So I knew that there was no way I was going back. Um, but also at the time of, rehabilitation, I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to walk again. So that was also like on my mind. And I told myself, if I could like get through this and get up, I'm just going to go, like, I'm just going and doing what I need to do, what I think is rightfully my, my path, my journey. So I was kind of already there. And this kind of like, although I went through a ton of stuff, and it was actually kind of like a blessing and a curse, or a blessing in disguise rather, for me, the whole incident. Yeah, so it was very tough.